Okay, welcome everybody to our weekly connection. We are going to connect to the Zohar of Vayetze, page 48. Let's not waste any time. Ellen is in the house, so please go ahead.
Okay, up at the top.
Mhm.
Okay, the patriarch Jacob awakens at the future site of the temple. As Jacob recognizes the power of the sacred ground, great spiritual light is revealed to him. Sometimes a simple observation conveys more than many words can describe. Such is the case with this passage. Suffice it to say that our souls tread the sacred ground upon which Jacob slept and upon which the temple stood. Keep going.
No. So verse 64, ויקץ יעקב משנתו ויאמר, אכן יש השם במקום הזה ואנוכי לא. ידעתי וכי תבהה הוא דלה ידע, אלא מאי ואנוכי לא ידעתי, כדאי דכתיב ופני השם לא חיליתי. אמר וכי כל האי התגלה לי, ולה הסתכלנה, למנדה אנוכי ולמעל תחות גדפי די שכינתה למהווה שלי. You can read the English.
Okay. And Jacob awoke out of his sleep, and he said, surely Hashem is in this place, and I knew it not. He asks, is it a wonder that he did not conceive such great knowledge? He answers, the meaning of, and I knew it not, is similar to the meaning of the verse, and I have not made supplications to Hashem. That is, I knew it not, are words of union and devotion, as are the words I have not made supplication. Jacob said, this was all revealed to me, though I have not attentively searched to know the holy name Anochi, which is the Shekhinah, and come under the wings of the Shekhinah to become a whole man.
ככה זה כתיב, את אומר, אם כן, למה זה אנוכי, כל יומה ויומה, חמת רבקה נאורה די שכינתה, דהביה שכינתה במשכנהה, בצליית המן, כיוון דחמת העקו דילה, במעה, מה כתיב ותלך לדרוש את השם. נפקת מדרגה דל לדרגה אחרה דיהו י' כו' בגיני, כך אמר יעקב וכי כל כך חמנה, ואנוכי לא ידעתי בגין דהבה בלכודוי, ולה על תחות גדפי דשכינתה. Go ahead.
Come and behold, it is written. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? Rivka beheld the light of the Shekhinah daily, because the Shekhinah was in her tent where she prayed. When Rivka began to experience the pains of childbirth, it is written, and she went to inquire of Hashem. She went from the grade of Anochi to another grade of Yud He Vav He. Am I allowed to say that?
Sure.
Okay, so Anochi is a name of the Shekhinah. Therefore, Jacob said, I have seen so much, yet did not know I. This is because he was not married and did not yet come under the wings of the Shekhinah.
Thank you. All right, so we see with a lot of the forefathers, the patriarch, we see a lot of traveling. We see a lot of quests that are going on, and we see a lot of turmoil and rising to the occasion, connection and then fall, depending on a specific location. And I'm just going to touch a little bit upon this this place that Jacob slept on, and he was tired and he lay down and he slept on a rock. Can you imagine how comfortable it is to sleep on a rock? But anyway, obviously we understand that it's not literacy, but it's really, messages for us. And when he woke up, he realized that the place where he was sleeping was a holy place. And just happens, by the way, on the sideline, that this is the place where Abraham was about to sacrifice his son Isaac, it was basically the same physical location. And so that ended up being hundreds, thousands of years later, the exact location of the first and the second temple, and where they are foreseeing the third temple to just appear. So physical location just seems to be very important according to the Torah and according to the Zohar. But there is a saying also for us, because at the end of the day, where that location is, it represents basically the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple can represent different things for every single person. The Holy Temple can be, for you, a very specific location in Toronto, or a very specific location in St. Louis, or a specific location in North Miami Beach. That can be like where you are going to reveal a certain amount of light. So if we extrapolate, or if we, by extension, and obviously in mega times, the amount of times how much light has been revealed in the location of the Holy Temple, because it says that the existence of the Holy Temple is really what prevented any type of wars and was the source of peace for the entire world, and many more things, right? Like this is where the people would go to fix their issues and to get messages and to heal and to purify. So the physical location is very important, but I don't want to insinuate either that, let's all move to wherever the Holy Temple is and then just, immigrate all to that place. What I want to take out from that is a concept that is well known to us, which we say, Meshane makom, meshane mazal, which means that if you change place, you change luck. But I find this connected to many philosophies or teachings, not just about spirituality, but even about biology and even about geometry and like all sorts of like different teachings where we can find this concept. For example, I did not so long ago, a few years ago, I did like a lecture about water, the power of water. And it says how, when we drink the water in a certain place, in a certain location, you're connecting to the karma of that place, because, everything that is in the ground, and you drink from the ground because this is where the water that you drink circulate from. And if you don't drink it, you at least maybe cook it, you filter that water and then you cook it. For example, here in Florida, we don't drink tap water, but we have this filter machine that filters like all the bad stuff, and we drink the water that at the end of the day comes from the ground here in Florida. So we're connecting to the soul, we're connecting to the spirit, we're connecting to the energy center of that playing field, of that physical place. And together with it, we're connecting to the karma of that place. We are in symbiosis with that place. We're becoming one with the tikkun of that continent, with the tikkun of that nation, with the tikkun of that region, with the tikkun of that state, with the tikkun of that city or family or whatever. You got the idea. But if you move now to Paris and you start drinking water, for example, in Paris, the same thing would happen. You would be in symbiosis with that physical center that is Paris, by extension, Ile-de-France, which is like, the district, and, the North, or France itself, or Europe, or the European continent, or the Occident, or whatnot. So it's like from the microcosm to the macrocosm, there is that concept of importance of physical location. And I've had discussions in the last couple of days with people that are moving around. And I always, I'm a fan of moving, as you know. Like in the last 5 years, we must have moved like 4 times. So it's not something like, for me, it's a sport. For me, it's not very difficult. But then I have friends that are moving now to Florida, and for them, it's a big deal. And I know when they're telling me, it's so difficult. I have so many friends, and I have my habits, and I have my traditions, and like they're becoming very religious about their lifestyle. And I don't know, it just was always ingrained in me. When I was going to places, or I was, assigned a new study group or a new center, like from the first day, I was telling people, just don't get used to me because I'm going to move. And so it's just like in my tikkun that I know that this happens. And I know also that it is connected to my incarnations, because every place that you go to, the people that you encounter, the people that you have experiences with, it has a connection. You have a connection with those people. So if you're not traveling and if you're not moving, it doesn't make you any less. It just means that this is where your tikkun is focused on, and it's also fine. And as far as I'm concerned, I know that I've been all over the place between this lifetime and previous lifetimes, and I just have a lot to correct with a lot of people, and that's fine. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm to compare myself to where I was when I was 18 or 19, I could wake up right now, 20 years later, which is like just like in a snap of a finger, and realize how much more understanding and how much more wisdom I have compared to where I was when I was 18 years old. 20 years in a human life might seem a lot, but in a spiritual, let's say, playing field, it's not like even a sneeze. You sneeze and that's it, like 20 years passed. But in our lifespan, 20 years is significant. But when we're reading what we're reading, it's like, imagine, again, we're speaking about spiritual giants. They're not randomly sleeping in a place. They're not randomly, dreaming of angels that go up and that go down. All those things have very heavy, deep significance. But as far as we are concerned, we want to get to that place where we get these moments of epiphany. We get these moments of realizations. And the fact that we're not thinking about it as often as we should, it's the law of attraction. We're not drawing it into ourselves. And the same that we're not living in a miracle consciousness consistently. This is why also the Rav many times said that if you constantly live in a miracle consciousness, you'll draw miracles every single day of your life. And so there are miracles that are happening in my life, and more, I would say, of like very fall right into place at the right time, situations, moments, and people that are miracles for us. And even when it happens, it's incredible and we appreciate it. It's not enough. So this is an invitation, really, when we're reading this passage, is to awaken this desire to experience epiphanies, to experience enlightenment. It's not, again, that we're reading about the spiritual giant to make us feel like we're so small compared to Joseph and compared to Rivka. That, like she's going through labor pain, and then she's like connecting to a certain level, and like all this pain is gone or disappeared or is experienced in a different dimension. It's like your mind has the ability, while your body is experiencing something in the physical, your mind and your spirit can travel in another place that is not physically far away. It is exactly where you are, but it's a different frequency. It's a different dimension. And it's not a coincidence. Hear what I say and remember what we're talking about right now. The fact that you hear a lot about these virtual realities, that you hear about AI, that you hear about metaverse, that you hear about NFTs, all these things that are virtual and that are incomprehensible in at least to the logic mind, all this new generation, they're like into cryptocurrency and NFTs and virtual realities and metaverse. What is metaverse? Maybe one of us knows exactly, like, according to the definition of, Mark Zuckerberg, who just, redefined or renamed this company Facebook to Meta, which is, for where his company going to, is to live in a reality that is not part of this world. I don't know if you know, maybe you, for those that live in Toronto, you heard about it, but not so long ago, just a few weeks ago, there is a virtual house, not physical, a virtual house in a virtual plan that basically doesn't exist in the physical, where you can buy houses. You can buy houses that are virtual. And a house was sold in Toronto, not in the physical Toronto, in the metaverse Toronto, for $765,000. Now, I mean, my mind doesn't register, like I cannot comprehend. Like maybe somebody would spend $765,000 to live in a house, 3-bedroom, pool, whatever, and enjoy it. But imagine that right now you own a house that is virtual and you can't even enjoy it. Or that very recently there is somebody that purchased an NFT, which is a virtual image that runs of, like, a basketball player that that does the hoop or whatnot, for $65 million. And he owns the right. He basically owns that 3 seconds or 12 seconds or whatever. $65 million. Come on, guys. So this is just to give us maybe a taste of where we're going. I mean, even the taste, it doesn't taste like anything because I don't know where we're going. Like, all this thing doesn't make sense. And you know what? This is what the future is about, because when you're touching something that is multidimensional, you cannot try to hang on to it with your brain. You cannot hang on to it with your how you're reasoning about it, how you making, like, using your logic to make sense of it, because this is the spiritual reality does not make sense. And spiritual realm does not make sense, and the different dimensions don't make. So this is why when you have somebody that is going through physical pain, lives in the physical reality, each and every single one of us and each and every single human being has the ability to snap and to take the mind into another totally different space. Now that we get into all the virtual realities and NFTs and everything, all this is just going to be like a great bridge for us to understand what it means, because maybe before we were so conservative that it was not so easy to understand spiritual reality. But as we go, it's like it just seems like the physical is bridging with the spiritual. It is bridging because the physical is just starting to not make sense as much as the spiritual. This is where we're going. And so when we're talking about the realm of miracles, I'm going back to that. And we've always said, what is a miracle? Is something that's not logical. It's something that doesn't make sense. And so imagine that you live in a metaverse or in a alternative universe with your mind. I'm not talking like your physical is like still here. You still need to nurture and to take care of your body and whatnot. But your mind can go places, and it doesn't have to be like places where you drift away because you have issues and you have trouble and you have stress and you have worries. Those are not alternative places that you want to go to. There are alternative places that are more elevated. Kabbalah speaks about it, and the Torah speaks about it in a coded way. The Tanakh, the Mishnah, the Midrash, like all those things talk about it in a coded way. The most uncoded and the most direct way is really when you study Kabbalah, and more specifically the Zohar, and more specifically the Ari. But even when you study the Ari, it's like a metaverse. Like it's like you get like more white hair than I have right now by studying the Ari. Like it's really hard to really bridge where this guy is, because this guy was born at the age of 6, and there was no human being after 100 lifetimes to reach where this 6 years old could decipher or interpret or explain something that is like so deep or whatnot. But this guy, at the age of 19 was already like the head of his community. He would struggle all day and all night, like would not sleep, would not eat, would not drink until he's not deciphering a specific verse from the Zohar. So when you're putting all these efforts and this is your mentality, this is what you're busy with 100% of the time, imagine what comes back. So again, this is not an invitation for us to be 100% of our time, busy with the Zohar and with the study and whatnot. But it's for us to understand basically 1 + 1 = 2. Like the more time, the more energy you put into something, and the more that specific thing, not something else, that specific thing is going to give back. And so if you invest in your friendship, that's what's going to give back. If you invest in your spouse and your children, that's what's going to give back. But if you invest 100% of your energy in your family, but you invest 0 in making money, guess what's going to happen? You got the idea. So vice versa, if you invest like 30% here, 30% here, and 30%, or 33, 33, and 33, or 34 to make 100%, then nothing is going to give back at 100%. It's like almost like a conundrum, isn't it? It's like almost like a catch-22. So if you invest like 50% in your business, 50% in your family, none of them is going to give 100%. So this is why you have people that just dedicate everything into one thing. I just saw like an Israeli entertainment thing. It's like a X Factor Israel, and the one that wins the X Factor Israel will represent Israel in Italy at the Eurovision, which is a big deal for Israelis or even for all Europe. Whoever competes in the Eurovision, it's a big deal. I grew up in France, and every time that there was the Eurovision in May or in June, big deal. You don't miss it. And so one of the contestants is an Israeli woman that left when she was 18. She went to live in Turkey. She grew up as a singer with a mother. And the first year that she arrived to Turkey, she just made like a big noise and became very popular and very famous and very successful. And she's known in Israel also. And she spent 30 years. That's now 30 years that she's there. She just came back especially to be participating in the X Factor Israel because she wants to represent Israel in 2022, because 30 years ago she tried and she arrived second. So she wasn't able. So for her, it's like, like a circle, closing circle, or whatever you say it in English. And so she's coming back to represent Israel. And she opens up like in the first interview, and she says, I invested all this time in my entire life in my business, and shilamti beyoker, I paid a very high price for it. What was the high price? She was very successful because she invested 100% in her career. Her career gave her back 100%. But no marriage, no children, and now 30 years later, she regrets. She has regrets. But she's still pursuing a career and whatever. I think personally that it's never too late, especially at her age. I mean, if you make the count, 30 plus 18, 48. I know somebody that at the age of 48 had her first and had twins at 52. It's never too late. Anyway, that is just if she really has like, what it takes to take on this new venture. But it's crazy that when we're thinking about those things from the 1% physical perspective, we are limited. We're limited to what the physical has to offer. And when we're expanding our mind to, when we're speaking about the Shekhinah represented the spiritual realm. So theoretically, we know that there is a spiritual realm. The thing is that it's just very theoretical. We're not exactly let's say, walking the talk or practicing what we preach, because otherwise we would experience miracles, true miracles. Not the ones that you say, I woke up this morning, it's a miracle. Sure, you can say that, but that's not what I'm referring to. If we're not experiencing in our heart and our soul this vibration, this dimension of being, living, breathing miracles, then you know that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. We are not doing what we're supposed to do. And so a starter is to know that it's possible because there are people that have done it. And because there are people that have done it, I repeated many times that if a person was able to do it once, he opened the gate for all humanity to repeat it. We have the ability, and we know it's becoming like a more, almost like almost like a, like actuality, where you hear people that are experiencing, they have like spiritual epiphanies or elevation, out of a body experience. They spoke to angels, or they tapped into their Akashic records, or they tapped into like the deepest part of their soul and they got revelation from their previous lifetime. I mean, you would have spoken to somebody like this 30 years ago, they would think that you are, one of those isolated cuckoos. But today, when we speak in this way, it's not cuckoo anymore. When we speak in this way today, it's like, wow, this person has really reached what I'm really working hard on. And it gives us like, like the kinat sofrim, like the jealousy of the scribe, which is, wow, okay, what did you do? Because I want to taste the exact same thing. I'm part of like very various groups because I'm always interested in like 100,000 things. And I see like people always asking, so how did you get your epiphany? How did you experience out of a body experience? How did you travel, do astral travel? And like all those questions, people are asking more than ever. Now, they're not just asking, they're really thirsty. They're really like, they want to read the right thing. They want to practice the right thing. They want to exercise the right thing, because we are at the edge. And all this information that is like bombarding us, from right and left, and the metaverse and this verse, or what, artificial intelligence, etc. This is where we're going. We're going into a reality that doesn't make much sense. Just look at what's happening today. Nothing of what's happening today makes sense. And you know what? The more we're going to try to not make sense of it, and the more we're going to connect to the miracle reality, because it's not supposed to make sense. That's the thing. The people that are trying to make sense of it, they go into conspiracies, and they go into, choosing this side or choosing this side. And from the moment that you choose a side, you have an enemy side, and like you don't get out of it. You don't get, and when you're trying to not make sense of it, and you're just letting the universe just bring you truth, what is true to you? What resonates with you? What is going to take you to your next level? Is it going to be moving physically? Is it going to be shifting job? Is it going to be changing a certain relationship, cleaning you around, your surrounding? What is the universe wanting from you, so that you can do one step closer to your epiphany? I just spoke to another individual today that says, I don't know, like I didn't read such reports, maybe because I'm not interested either, that there are more divorce than ever during COVID. There is more domestic violence. There is more sexual violence, or countless of reports in different countries of exactly what I just said, and that go either unreported or unaddressed. Like there is like crazy things that are happening today, and it pushes people to the edge, but not to jump over the edge, to take drastic decisions over their lives. I hear right and left, people don't want to go back to work. People don't want to go back to what it was, whatever that was. And look at that. All it took is a virus to switch our reality, to switch what it is that we want, really deeply wanted to spend our 9 to 5. Do I really want to go back to this? And the answer is very often no. And so this is why I don't know about the world, but I'm aware of the crisis that is going on in the United States. that there is not enough workers. People just don't want to go back to work. And if it's the airlines or cleaning companies or supermarkets, or, like I just read an article today of companies in Florida that are doing cleaning services, whatnot, businesses and houses. And they have to choose, they have to pick and choose every morning which house and which business is going to get cleaned and which one is not, because they don't have enough employees. And it's insane. It's like overboard. It's like in every single industry. So something is happening, something is shifting, and it's not shifting for the worse. I mean, for the people that are hanging on to what it was prior to COVID, they're going to get a slap. They're going to get a slap because we're not going back to what it was. We are shifting into something that is completely new. And coronavirus was a blessing in disguise, because it precipitated people divorcing. Wait a second, all these years you refused to deal with that situation, and it just accelerated what was inevitable. So if it went through this violence or that violence, great. At least right now you're not together with this person, and these people are starting a brand new life, a brand new job, a brand new existence that didn't exist like a few months ago. So those people, in some ways, they shifted dimension in the physical, but the physical is just the repercussion. It's just the projection of the universe that is shifting in our mind, of what we want to draw into our existence, what rings true, what makes us happy, what makes us fulfilled. And this has become more important than ever. And we need to hang on to that. We shouldn't hang on to going back to what it was, because we're not very happy. We want to hang on to what makes us the happiest, what makes us closer to the light, what makes us closer to a miracle consciousness where I experience every single day being freed from something that was bounding me to slavery, some type of slavery. If it's not to your boss or to money or to food or to addictions or whatnot, it is to some type of something that you're not free from. So every single person needs to think about what it means for him or for her. But you need to know, like, when we are getting like these verses about Jacob or about Rivka that are, reflecting on the things that they're experiencing. She's experiencing pain. And then the next verse, she's like, connecting to this new dimension that is involving God. But what is God? It's basically light. What is light for you? What is light for you? I used to go to, and this is one of the things that I'm missing, probably one of the things that I'm missing the most in Toronto, it's Master Lee. And Master Lee is like Shaolin healer, whatnot, an incredible individual. And one of the things that every time, by the way, I used to go to him, and I didn't have any ailment, I wasn't sick. I was just going because I was enjoying him so much. And my wife also was a fan of him, and she was bringing the kids. And I don't know if sometimes she was making things up. Just don't repeat it to her. But anyway, she is phenomenal. And so one of the things that he was telling us to do, he was like working energies and the chi and whatnot. And when he was touching you and and flowing the chi through you, you could literally feel it. You were getting like zapped by energy, like literally, not making it up, not imagining it. It was for real. And one of the things that he would do, like when he was like touching the third eye, is think about something good, think about something positive, think about something that makes you happy. And you know what? This is the kind of exercise that we can practice. And this is what the Zohar is talking about when Rivka is in pain and she's connecting to God. What is connecting to God? What makes you happy? What makes you fulfilled? What makes you feel connected? What makes you feel protected? What makes you feel enjoying your life and enjoying your environment, enjoying your life, enjoying your kids, enjoying your existence and your financial freedom and whatnot? What is it that makes you fulfilled and happy? And that you'd be in a happy place or that you'd be in an unhappy or distressful place, just switch. using your mind that has the power to travel universes, parallel universes. We don't need, space shuttles and things like that. We just need our mind to travel in space, to travel dimensions, parallel universes. This is the best, the most sophisticated UFO, we don't need anything. We don't need any device to travel. We don't need any device to teleport. We can just use our mind to travel to a place that is happier, without drugs and without any booster, without anything, just our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions and our memories. This is why also building memories is so important. Building memories with people that you love, with things that you love to do, because then when you are in a bad shape or you're not in such a good place, you can go back to those memories that you built. Think about it. Any questions? Questions, comments? Okay. Thank you very much for joining us as usual. And hopefully, not hopefully, see you next Monday at 7 p.m., God willing. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good week.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.